Hey there, YouTube land. So tonight I wanted to make a video, and I was kind of stumped on which one to do. I had like two or three in mind. So I was talking to my good friend and partner in crime, uh, writing partner, basically, Kelly. So I gave her a couple choices, and basically, so if you like this video, heap praise on me, and if you don't like it, just no, heap the crap on me anyway. Anyway, so tonight we are doing the Arrow video collection from A to Z. I did the Scream Factory collection from A to Z. That seemed to get a good result. So let's go with the Arrow video and show you exactly what I've got in Arrow. There's quite a few. I left out the Aerodrome and the Arrow Academy. Those are being a separate video. But for now, let's get to the Arrow stuff because there's a lot of it. First off is A Bay of Blood. It's a Mara Bava film. Very cool. Very kind of like quirky, funny, a lot of murder. Many of the some of the scenes from this one here were lifted for Friday the 13th Part 2, the murder sequences, and you got to see it to really like just gauge what a unusual, unique movie this is. Uh, a lot of death, a lot of killing, a lot of fun. Love the cover, and some people don't get how the cover relates to the film in this case, but think of the scene by the dock, and that's where the cover comes from. Next up is a classic. Everybody knows that watches my channel that I love the Italian horror masters. I find them the best. And one of my favorites is Fulci. So I had to have this one. It is The Beyond Steelbook, Lucio Fulci. And just so you can see it, it's very, very sexy looking. I love this movie. It's it's just a whole mixture of things. It's like, you can't just call it a zombie film. You can't just call it a ghost film. It's just a unique mixture of a lot of different styles. It's gory, it's entrancing, it's really cool. And if you've seen The Beyond, then awesome, kudos to you. This is a movie that every horror fan should see. The Beyond is one of those classics, those benchmarks, those milestones, that spot in horror that everybody has to get. Next up is another Beyond film. That is the third in the Reanimator series, Beyond Reanimator. And as you can see, yep, that is signed by Jeffrey Combs. That's Dr. Herbert West himself, who I got to meet here in St. John's, actually. Very nice guy. I geeked out. I completely did, guys. And was not at my coolest at the time. But after a couple minutes, I was able to talk to him like a normal human being. And we talked for a little bit. I find this a fun movie. Of course, it's not as good as the first one. I do find it better than Bride. Some people like go back and forth on that, but this one does have an hour-long basically feature talking about all the Reanimator movies, the ones that were made and the ones that never got made. So if you haven't seen it, you should really check this out. It's Arrow Video. They did like 4 in a Fantastic Factory box set. I bought this one because this is the one I wanted. Next up is a classic one that it's kind of an action film, but it kind of bends different genres, and because of that, I think it never really got the publicity back then. It's a cult like classic now, but back in the day, people just didn't know what to think of it. And that is Big Trouble in Little China, John Carpenter film, starring Kurt Russell. It's a fantastic film. And when you're not watching Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken, which you really should, because Escape from New York is an awesome damn movie, Big Trouble in Little China is the movie. This is like, it's got a blend of action and Oriental mysticism, monsters. It's just a really, really cool movie. Just check this out. If you've never seen Big Trouble in Little China, you are totally missing out. It is an amazing film. Next up is the very first Argento, and it's his first giallo. It's in the first one in the Animal trilogy, and it is Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Yes, Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This has 4 different covers. It's a really cool little giallo. It's pretty straightforward when compared to a lot of the Argento murder mystery type things. There's the death. So basically, he sees something. It's not what he thinks he sees. He's seen the killer. He doesn't know he's seen the killer, and he won't know too much later on in the film that he's seen the killer. They get the pattern down right from the beginning, and Argento just knocks it out of the park. Great, quirky little film. Susie Kendall, right? Susie Kendall's this. Man, Susie Kendall. Ba-dump. Yeah. Next up is Mara Bava's classic anthology film Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff basically as the host and in one of the stories as well. This movie was one that creeped me out when I was a kid. Basically, there's one called The Drop of Water, And basically, it's about a nurse who steals a ring off of this corpse. She's left to take care of this like pretty much petrified this dead woman. The woman dies, and she steals her ring, and it's freaking creepy. I mean, the even stills from this movie to this day creep me out. Love this film. This is a 3-disc edition, by the way. These Mary Bava sets are amazing. The work that's put into them, and classic film, older film, but a fantastic film nonetheless. Speaking of Mary Bava, we also have Black Sunday, kind of a Barbara Steele, who I also adore. She's well, she plays 2 roles really in this one, kind of like the evil character and the ancestor. If you've never seen Black Sabbath, it really is worth a watch. Black Sabbath really is worth a watch. But we're talking about Black Sunday right now. It's also a really great film. This also has the first Italian sound horror film I've included on here. That was, of course, directed by Riccardo Frida, who kind of walked out, and Mary Bava had to finish it up. And in a nun horror one, we have a classic that, if you're a red-blooded male, you should definitely have. It's Bound. It's a kind of a film noir with Jennifer Tilly, Gina Gershon as their neighbors that meet, and basically Jennifer Tilly's in a bad situation. She meets up with Gina Gershon. They quickly become lesbian lovers, and they decide that they want to get away from the abusive husband of Jennifer Tilly's, and basically he fronts for the mob, and they want to like take the money and frame him. And there are some great sexy scenes in this movie. Bound is it's a fantastic film, and it's by the Wachowski brothers, who basically did The Matrix after this. So this is very different than The Matrix. This is not something you show the kids. Next up is a kind of a Japanese film called Branded to Kill. You know, I actually haven't watched this one yet. I remember seeing this like years ago, but found it really fun. Kind of like basically, he's a hitman and he wants to. He's supposed to kill, but when he doesn't get the job done, he's number 2 hitman. They send the number 1 hitman after him. This one also includes a more sexually explicit type of film called Trapped in Lust, and that one there is a very different film, but it's still along the same lines. It just has more sexuality in it. It's you just have to see it to understand it. It's different, but it's cool. Next up is the classic Tom Hanks comedy, The Burbs. A really different, really weird, really unique. Tom Hanks, unfortunately, would go really mainstream afterwards, making movies that would get Academy Awards. But this is the Tom Hanks that I like. This is kind of the cool character. Kind of just that weird every man that he plays. And just an unusual neighbor moves in. Everybody wants to find out about it, and all kinds of craziness ensues. You've just got to see The Burbs. It also has a work print edition of it, uncut, and it's kind of a a more beat up edition, but it's a work print, so you don't expect like a quality with the work print one that you will get with the Blu-ray edition that's on here as well. Next up is probably one of the sexier covers is The Card Player, another Dario Argento film. As you know, I'm a huge Argento fan. This is another one of the murder mystery type ones. And basically this one here as a killer that, well, he plays online poker with police officers, and if they lose, well, he kills the victim that he's got kidnapped. He pretty much never loses, and he ensures that. Card Player. Argento did this one after watching a lot of CSI. Not his best work, but still interesting to watch. Speaking of Argento, we have Cat o' Nine Tails. Carl Malden plays a blind puzzle maker, and he teams up to basically solve these murders. The ending is pretty abrupt in this one here. It is a pretty fun movie though, and the cast has really good chemistry. But the ending is pretty abrupt, even for Argento. The ending's abrupt. Next up is the classic warming heart Christmas Evil. This is unique. This is different. This is the Christmas story that you want to see. Santa Claus as a serial killer killing off bad people, and this story's been done many, many times. Like, well, not this exact story. Trust me, this story's never been done. But the Christmas horror story. But this one's really different, really fun, and really unique. Way, way better than it should be. Way, way better than it should be. Next up is the classic double feature, two films, and they're of course by Lamberto Bava, produced by Dario Argento though, and he helped writing in the first one at least, and those are Demons and Demons 2. In Demons, we have people that are brought to a mysterious film about Nostradamus and this curse that's going on. Meanwhile, there's this mask outside with this on this motorcycle kind of on display. A girl gets cut, and she proceeds to turn to a demon, and everybody that she pretty much she slices turns into demons as well. Think of it like a zombie film, but not zombies, demons, and pretty great, pretty gory special effects with some really, really good action. A great '80s soundtrack as well. Yeah, a lot of like rock on here, a lot of like heavier rock, some metal, some Billy Idol, some stuff like that. And of course, Demons 2 was set in an apartment building because where do you go after the natural progression of having it set in a movie theater? Well, it's later, well, it's mid 80s, and basically you're going to go to an apartment building because now movies are being done on VHS. People are watching the movies then. And so this is a bit of cursed tape that starts turning people into demons during a little girl's birthday party. And it's pretty brutal. I think this may be the first with Asia Argento. I'm not sure. No, there isn't Argento in it. He's always killing off his kids. Django Prepare Cop, and this is one of the Django sequels, one of the many Django sequels. You're probably familiar with the one that was done, like the modern day one that was done. This is one of the early original ones. This has a really cool story, actually. Basically, he's hired by a corrupt mayor to pretty much kill all of the enemies in this town. But secretly, he's got a really clever, cool plan. So if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. One of the cooler spaghetti westerns. Next up is one of my favorite directors, Brian De Palma, in Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill is a really cool film. It's got Michael Caine. We've got Keith Gordon, right? It's Keith Gordon? Yeah. Pretty sure it is. And Angie Dickinson in a small but amazing role. The nude sequence in here, I think, isn't actually Angie Dickinson. I think it might actually be Nancy Allen. Either way, whoever it is, damn. It's a really good scene at the beginning of the film. It shows kind of like the frustration of this woman who basically she takes out she has an affair, kind of a one night, one type stand type of thing, and then like of course horrible things happen because it's a serial killer film. It's really different. It's really fun, and you got to see the Angie Dickinson scene at the beginning of the movie. There's some great sequences. The killer is pretty awesome. Next up is Exterminator. It's an action movie. It's an action revenge movie. Basically, they push the man too far. And this is Robert Ginty. Robert Ginty does not look like the guy that you push too far, or the really kind of like badass guy. He looks like me, basically. He's just a normal-looking guy, but he's come back from Vietnam. They basically piss him off, and he attacks. And he goes back and he gets revenge. And it's a revenge movie. I love revenge action films. Next up is Foxy Brown. And as we know, it's Pam Grier's birthday. It was actually yesterday now, but it was kind of still today. I love Pam Grier. She is sexy. She is hot. She is one of the greats of the blaxploitation, of basically the genre anyway. She does all these action roles. Foxy Brown is pretty much had her sexiest. This one and Coffee are two of her movies where she just utterly shines. She is amazing. She is tough. She kicks ass, and this is another revenge movie that I really dig. Basically, they mess up her boyfriend, and they gotta pay. Another Brian De Palma film that I haven't seen in a long time. I really gotta revisit it, and it's a movie starring John Cassavetes, Kirk Douglas, and yes, it would be Andrew Stevens. And I apologize for the frame drop there. Yep, it happened again. Sorry about that, guys, but it is The Fury. Got it. Check it out. It's a cool Brian De Palma film. Just telekinesis. Next up is A Girl Who Knew Too Much, and I think the re-edited version of this is called Evil Eye, when it was brought over to America. Another kind of early Bava classic. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I really got to rewatch this. It's been a long time since I've seen this one, so it'll be interesting to see it again. So here we go, and I got to get the other load of them. Whoa. All right. So next up is House by the Cemetery, a fantastic Fulci film. I watch this one a lot. This is one that you find on a lot of like cut versions are usually found on collections. Those those 12 films, 50 films. So Kelly, you probably have this somewhere on one of your collections. It's a Lucio Fulci again. It's about Freudenstein. Really cool, really different, and it's really fun. It's very bloody. It's got the Lucio Fulci kind of like style to it, but it's kind of different for him. It's not the huge amount of zombies type of thing you see there. It's kind of a different type of killer, and just check it out. It's really fun. Next up is the Argento film that he did with Bava. Well, Bava helped on this one. Of course, his son Lamberto Bava, who directed Demons, by the way, and Demons 2, also was like a second unit director for Argento before he did this stuff. That is Inferno. Inferno is part of the Three Mothers trilogy with Suspiria and, of course, Mother of Tears. Now, Inferno stars Lee Michalowski, who is known better for the series Dallas that came on back in the 80s and on into the 90s. But it's a really cool film, and this would precurse the movie Final Destination, the kind of way of using death as a kind of a killer in this one. Next up is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is the Philip Kaufman 70s one with Donald Sutherland, Leonard Nimoy, Brooke Adams. Just an amazing cast. I think Art Hino's in this one as well. An amazing cast. An incredible film. Extremely creepy. Still holds up today. Kevin McCarthy has a great cameo at the beginning of the film. If you have not seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you really should. It's a great science fiction horror. Right up there with The Fly and The Thing. This is one of the classics. This is one of the science fiction horror films of all time. Next up is one I bought because it was fairly cheap. I know it's out on Blu-ray now. And unless there's a lot more features, I ain't buying it again. But it's a really different film. Let's try and look. It is Island of Death. It's a very unique movie. I do enjoy it. It's so weird and out there and strange that I do kind of enjoy the film. It's twisted. It's twisted as hell. Two people go onto an island and they proceed to seduce and kill. And there's like weird scenes. There's a scene, a very uniquely fake scene where basically I guess he's really needs to have sex. So there's a goat nearby. It's a very fake-looking goat, but still, this is a twisted film. It's not for everybody. I warn you, but it's fun. It's a fun little film. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I just love this movie. The Cheeto brothers did a great job with this film here. Just some great effects. I love the clowns, the kind of big top alien spaceship. The way that you kill the clowns is really unique, and the murders and deaths in this are really cool. And this also has the man himself, I think Howard Vernon in this one. So that alone, John Vernon. Howard Vernon is a completely different actor, by the way. John Vernon, who was in another film that you're going to see later on in my list. Next up is Christopher Walken in King of New York, and this is by the guy that did the movie The Exterminator that I showed there before. This is a kind of a really cool film. It's got Dave Crusoe, Lawrence Fishburne, Wesley Snipes. We got Steve Buscemi in this. Christopher Walken, fantastic film. Next up is a movie where the girl walks almost naked all through the entire film. And Aaron was extremely happy about that. It's a movie called Life Force. It is a space vampire film. The vampires come out, and it's got Patrick Stewart, so you can't not like a movie with Patrick Stewart. And Mathilda May is the lovely naked space vampire going around. Yeah, anyway, so check out Life Force. Great film. Next up is an 80s kind of a sexploitation comedy. If you want to think of in the way that American Pie and those movies were, this was like kind of like the precursor to start just after Lemon Popsicle. Basically, we got the remake of it, Last American Virgin. Really good film. It's got a lot of heart to it. If you've never seen it, it really is worth seeing. It's got a great soundtrack, some great cast, amazing stuff. Mark the Devil. Love this movie, but it's not for everyone. This is pretty harsh. It talks about basically the witch finders, generals of the day, the torture that they did, and on a lot of innocent victims that were just pretty much condemned just because they were witches. It is a slower moving film, but it is a good film, and it stars Udo Kier, and of course I'm going to forget his name anyway. I know I am. Herbert Lom. I think Herbert Lom, Richie Nelder's this as well. I love this film here. It's kind of the alternate Vertigo, so to speak, and it is Brian De Palma's Obsession. It's just one that I really love. I'm obsessed with Obsession. This is just a really cool movie. I really did enjoy it. It's it's a slow burn, but it's really interesting. It keeps you going all the way through. And if you've seen the original Spider-Man movie, this is Uncle Ben as the star of it. Phantom of the Paradise, one of the best horror comedy musicals ever made. Just a fantastic film. William Finley does a great job in it, and I mean, oh, man, Paul Williams. Paul Williams wrote an amazing score for this here. Just some amazing, amazing songs that you will remember. And because I was totally in love with Jessica Harper, who plays Phoenix in this one here, she's just beautiful. Jessica Harper is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and she has amazing singing voice, and it shows through in this film. You don't have to go to Texas for a Chainsaw Massacre, and that's true in the movie Pieces, which it's a really different film. It's a Spanish film, very tongue-in-cheek. Basically, it's about a killer that his mom destroys his nude woman jigsaw puzzle, so he kills her and later up grows to want to make a human jigsaw puzzle out of body parts. There's some hilarious scenes in this. It's just a really, really fun film, kind of gory. Pieces. Don't fall asleep while you're watching it. Next up is Phenomenon. It's a fantastic little film by Dario Argento. It's another one that's very much along the lines of supernatural horror, like Suspiria, like Inferno. This one here stars Jennifer Connelly, who would later go on to be extremely famous. Beautiful, beautiful girl. It's got almost like a horror Disney type of vibe to it. She can talk to insects. There's almost like a Tinkerbellish type aspect to this. It was just a really cool, really different film, and very unique. After The Last American Virgin, there had to be one that would become really popular so that eventually American Pie movies like that would be made, and that would be Porky's. Porky's done by Bob Clark, who of course directed the original film Black Christmas in 1974, and changed my life because that made me fall in love with the slasher genre. Did this comedy with, which was actually had a lot of heart. It was a really good one, and a couple sexy scenes, but pretty tame, especially by today's standards. It'll be extremely tame. So let's go with the second lot of films. And let's try and hope that we don't get any more dropping frame rates here. Next up is Rabid. Rabid is a great film by David Cronenberg. This of course is one of the big sequences of the film. One of the scenes that was sold on. Marilyn Chambers, who had been, of course, famous for Behind the Green Door originally, which is an X-rated film that she did before this one here. But this was like basically to show that they can do actual. It's a really cool body film. What do you want to call that one, guys? What do you want to call this one? Kind of like a body horror film sort of thing, kind of like a virusy type of vampiric type of film. Next up is a fun little action film with Dolph Lundgren, directed by Joseph Zito, who directed, of course, The Prowler and Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Red Scorpions. Fun little film. Remo Williams, The Adventure begins. It didn't continue because they didn't do any more of these, but this is a really fun one. It's got a great documentary. Watch this one on Christmas Day. Classic suspense film, Runaway Train with John Voight, Eric Roberts, Rebecca De Mornay. Two prisoners escape, and basically a girl played by Rebecca De Mornay, she falls asleep on this train. The train, these two criminals end up being like the only hope of survival for everybody on the train. The sexy, sexy revenge film, Savage Streets. I just love Linda Blair, and she doesn't look any better than she has ever looked in this here promo thing. Again, this one has John Vernon, who I mentioned before and accidentally called Howard Vernon. He's the principal in this, and he has some of the best lines. It's just a really cool film. Basically, her sister is played by Linnea Quigley, who would go on to do a lot of stuff like Return of the Living Dead, and of course, yeah, a lot of films, Night of the Demons, where she had that amazing lipstick scene, and she plays a deaf, mute girl who the sister of Linda Blair. Something really bad happens to her, really rough too. This is directed by Danny Steinman, who directed Part 5 of Friday the 13th, The New Beginning. It's a great revenge film. Next up is another Cronenberg body horror, vampire, sex monster type of film. Shivers. Just check it out. It's got a great cast. Barbara Steele's in this one here as well. Some pretty horrific scenes. Love this movie. He doesn't make stuff like this anymore. I wish he did. And De Palma's movie Sisters, starring, of course, Margot Kidder. The way before Lois Lane. And William Finley's in this one as well. This one actually has is this one the second film on it? No, it's the other one, the second film. Anyway, this is just a fantastic little film. If you haven't seen Sisters, really, really check it out. Slaughter High, one that everybody has to watch. It is just a fun little slasher film. Crazy ass movie that you're like, what the hell's happening? And when you get to the last frame of the film, you're like, oh, okay, now it totally makes sense. Now I can watch it again and understand it just a little bit more. I like this film. One of Argento's later and last really great films is one called Sleepless Eyes, Max von Sydow. Basically, another one where basically somebody sees a murder and they don't realize how much they've seen until later. Great little film. A different Argento film, Stendhal Syndrome. It's a classic with Zia Argento. She was a detective that's going after this kind of serial rapist killer, and she's attacked and raped by him. And later on, she seems to like capture him, like kind of kill him, but the body kind of disappears, and he may still be killing, or is somebody killing in his place? Check it out. Larry Cohen's film The Stuff. It's just really funny, really fun little film that Cohen did, and if you haven't seen it, it's really worth watching. Basically, it's imagine if your yogurt ate you instead of you eating the yogurt. That's kind of what this film is. Kind of a budding satirical look at commercialism, but mostly fun, like kind of monstery type of fun film. Alrighty. Next up is two, actually, that are the same film. Tenebrae. I have Tenebrae on DVD, the original edition, and of course the brand new Blu-ray that just came out from Tenebrae. I'm just a huge fan of the Dario Argento film. This probably is my ultimately favorite Argento film. It has a really solid murder mystery to it. A lot of really great deaths. They're kind of gory, but they're done in a really good, really stylistic way. Just some of the best actors in his films. I think James Francisco was in this one. Or is that the other one? Anthony Francisco is in this one. We have, of course, Don Saxon is in here. There's some beautiful, beautiful women in this film. You got to check it out. Terry Nicolode's in this one as well. I think she was much younger. Terror at the Opera is another fantastic film. And this is like, of course, the penultimate scene where he ties her up and he puts needles under her eyes so that she has to watch him kill one of her friends. It's a really cool scene. Next up is the classic comedy horror Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. A lot of people didn't realize this was going to be kind of a comedic film when they went to the theater in South, so they were kind of pissed off. But it's a fun little film. Bill Moseley does a great job, and still the show is chopped up. Just a really fun film. The girl in this one's really hot as well. Vincent Price and Diana Rigg in Theater of Blood. Probably one of my favorite Vincent Price films. He plays a thespian who basically doesn't get any love or respect from the critics, so he decides he's going to kill the critics, and he's going to do it in Shakespearean ways. Next up is the Romero-Argento collaboration, Two Evil Eyes. Basically, it says two stories in it. It's got the Black Cat and the facts in the case of Mr. Vladimir. Just really fun. Not their best film, but it's definitely a fun watch. Next up is the comedy horror Vamp with Chris Makepeace. Was a Canadian film. Stars Chris Makepeace. Grace Jones is in this one. I think what's his name? Robert. Oh my God, Robert Russler. Yeah, he was in like Nightmare on Elm Street 2. We need light. Come on, give us some light. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is the best friend in that one. I haven't watched The Visitor yet. The Visitor is like a really unique one. Basically, Space Jesus. Just saying. And we are almost done. Whoa. One of my biggest and proudest joys is Vincent Price 6 Gothic Tales. 6 amazing Vincent Price films with a big 200-page hardcover book with lots of comic captions in it. We've got Fall of the House of Usher, The Pit and the Pendulum, Tales of Terror, The Raven, Haunted Palace, and Tomb of Legia. Just 6 fantastic films. Great, great features. An amazing, huge box set. A really sexy as all hell if you haven't seen it. What the Eye is a great film by Donald Cammell. There's a great documentary on Donald Cammell's life on here. A tragic figure, really the epitome of the tortured artist. He really was. And he was just an amazing, amazing person. This film is really unique, really different. It could have been a state standard, blah, 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 new tongue, standard, straightforward slash film. That it is not. It is just an amazing piece of work. It is a... All right, I hope you liked it, Lauren. This is a really, I thought it was a really fantastic film. Next up is the action movie Wild Geese. Richard Harris, Roger Moore, and Richard Burton. I grabbed this one for my better half. She's a really big fan of Roger Moore, and she likes these style of films. So kind of like an action-y type of films. I haven't really seen this one yet myself, but not for years. I mean, I don't remember it, but I remember it being like pretty good. I did like the Italian kind of like sequel, kind of like pseudo sequel that was done. I got to get that one as well. Last but definitely not least is one of my favorite Fulci films, one of the greats. Right up there with The Beyond, there's another film that I love. And I've been zombied out with a lot of the zombie stuff that's been going out that just hasn't been that good. But I can always sit back and watch this one. It doesn't run too long. I think it runs at like, how long is this one? Here we go. Like 91 minutes. And it's 91 fast minutes. It's fast paced. The cast is good. It's really fun. And got some unique things. Zombie versus shark. Just zombie versus shark, guys. That is all you need. Zombie Flesh Eaters. A million different names, but Zombie Flesh Eaters is the one that I'll go with. A great film. If you haven't seen it, you really should. And there we go. From A to Z, that is my Arrow video collection. So, Kelly, that one's for you. Hopefully you liked it and you watched it all without falling asleep. Say hello to the Pin Lord in the sky. His friend the Phantom. For me right now, after all this talking, I gotta make sure this splices together right. Because after that, it's time for tea. Bad and tea. Have a great night, guys. And, wow. I actually got through this. It's time for tea. And, Kelly, thanks for the idea. Now go right.